Okay, then well that video brings back lots of good memories as well. I really hope you like the music, because we had so much fun putting music to these pictures and making it all work.
And it means a lot to us.
Yeah. So probably the first thing that you might be wondering about is, so we spend all that money on boots and equipment, and at the start of that clip you would have seen photos of Lynn walking along in thongs. So what was that all about?
Well, I developed blisters, and on that particular day, I don't know where it come from, but I had one on the inside of my foot near my ankle. It was pretty bad. It was probably the size of a 50-cent piece and stood out about, I don't know, 1.5 centimetres, and it was pretty awful. And it got to the point where I just thought I couldn't walk anymore in my boots, and the only alternative was to take my boots off. And I had thongs, so I decided to walk in thongs for 10 Ks.
Yeah, again, that was the strangest night, because we weren't 100% sure how we were going to pull up after all that. We stayed in a country residence type thing that night, and when we got there it was deserted. We rang the number. Eventually someone turned up and let us in and said they'd come back at about 5:30 and make tea, and they did, and they made tea and left and locked us in.
But we were in this hotel.
Yeah, we were the only people there. We had the run of the place, and the only instructions was
close the door when you leave.
Yeah, in the morning, and lock it behind you. Bizarre. But anyway, the other thing you would have noticed, the wide open spaces is a section on the Meseta which is quite famous because it goes along the old Roman road. It's about 17 kilometres dead straight. Nothing, no towns, no place to buy a drink.
Which was what we were looking at after the day I'd had before, where I was walking with thongs. So it was a little bit daunting as to whether I was going to be able to do it. So we decided that the first 10 Ks there was a town, and we were going to make the decision then whether I could then do the 17 Ks.
Yeah.
Which I really have to be proud of myself. Doctoring the blisters with the needle and thread thing and strapping up the next day, I was good to go.
So it basically turned out that we walked 10 kilometres to the start of the hard bit, and all we really wanted was for the weather to continue, because it had been overcast and cool. It turned out to be not a cloud in the sky, hot as...
In the worst possible part.
So that was a long day, 27K, and it was bizarre because we were just walking and walking and walking, and then we came to the crest of a hill, and over the hill was this little village.
I was doubting Michael all the way. We were supposed to be then close to the end of our day, and there was nothing. And I was saying to Michael, no, this can't be right. It's not going to happen. And then all of a sudden, just over a crest, there was a town.
And that's where you saw the swimming pool in the videos. That was great.
Our oasis.
Yeah. So pretty much then we'll take you just to the end of that last clip, going into Leon. The day we walked into Leon was just so wet, that humongous thunderstorm. But Leon itself, even though it was cold and wet, we really loved. We had booked ahead because we were staying there for 2 nights, and found a serviced apartment which turned out to be right next to the main cathedral of Leon.
Because can I just say, because we were staying 2 nights, albergues don't let you stay 2 nights. So whenever we knew that we had a 2-night stay, we knew we didn't have the option of being in an albergue.
Yeah, and it turns out where we stayed was fantastic. And my recollection is, between where we were staying and Leon Cathedral was about 50 metres. Halfway along that 50 metres there was a bar, and we loved it. And in our serviced apartment was a television that had some English TV, which sounds bizarre, but after a month on the road it was really nice.
I stayed up till about 1 o'clock one of the days. watching TV because it was in English.
Yeah. So maybe just the only other thing I can remember is in that serviced apartments we had an opportunity to wash all our gear. So we went to the local supermarket and bought what we thought was a humongous container of detergent, which turned out to be
Washing powder, yeah.
Yeah, which turned out to be high-powered bleach. So that was a bit strange.
But before it really did any damage, I realised, I smelt it, and we got the clothes out and rescued them, and all was good. But the last thing I want to say is that the cathedral at Lyon was beautiful. As you can see, here I'm turning Catholic. The cathedral, the stained glass in the cathedral was to die for. And I bought my own special rosary beads there as well.
That's true.
So as I said, I'm turning Catholic.
When we walk to Rome next year, we'll get the Pope to bless them and complete the picture. So the next short video you're going to see, we left Lyon and headed into or towards Galicia and mountains, and it got cold and wet, and the mountains were as steep as the Pyrenees where we first started. But you'll see us walk past the Cruz de Ferro, which is a very famous mile point on the Camino. A lot of meaning to that. We'll talk about that later. But yep, here we go out of Lyon and back into the mountains.